Action. Da-da-da-da. Welcome to The Good. My name is Taya, global citizen, mom of 2+2, always on the journey of self-development, run 5 businesses, including production and media, and I'm the founder of Norwegian luxury brand Serena. And in this podcast, I'm on the mission to shed light on sometimes curious, popular topics that perhaps are not so straightforward for the outsider. And today, my guest is Alexandra Alejandro. Welcome, Alexandra.
Thank you.
Beauty guru of Oslo. At least that's what I can definitely say. And I think conquering the world one video at a time.
Well, it's very sweet. What an introduction. Thank you.
So I would love to know, from my point of view, we met before. And do you remember, by the way, how we met? Well, the first time you met me.
I remember the first time I met you was at that event. It was at the Polestar. Yes. I think that was our first time, like face-to-face meeting. Yes. I had been following you for quite a while through the purses, because everybody I know in Oslo was running around with a little Serena bag, and I was just like, who's making these? So I had followed you for quite a bit. So it was very nice when you actually approached me at that event, and we got to finally meet, and I got to see the woman behind the brand.
Thank you. But for me, when I met you, I was like, it was because working with the purses, with PR, with Norwegian scene, it was, of course, with PR companies, like, who are these important key people that I need to identify, who are the role models? And you were put forward as one of the people I should really look into. And it was like at the very early, like probably a year or more before we met. And then when I met you, I'm like, oh my God, you are here. I'm so glad. Because in Norway, it's like, you can't really stalk and be to them, but it felt like, okay, you know what, this is the moment to connect. So I was really grateful and very excited to connect.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was so nice to meet you as well. And I feel like in Norway, Norwegians are so nice. They really are. But it's hard sometimes, I think, for when you live here to reach out and to connect and make the first move. So it's always really appreciated when you meet people who do that. But I think that's also a little bit of an international trait where we feel like we kind of also have to.
So on the international trait, so tell me about yourself. Where is your international part coming from?
So I was born in California. I was born in Ventura County in Thousand Oaks. My mother is Mexican. She was born in LA, but would go to Mexico all the time. Her sisters are from there, live there. So I'm half Mexican and then half American. And then we moved to Norway in 1989. So I was there born and then lived there for 5 years before we moved to Norway.
So then you basically became Norwegian as a teenager? That's it.
I don't really think I ever became Norwegian,
no.
But I'm not really American anymore either. I like to say that I'm just kind of like a citizen of the world. I am wherever I am kind of a thing, because when I'm in Norway, I'm very American. When I'm in the States, I'm very European. So I don't really feel I'm either. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Very global.
Yes.
Which I think is actually a growing population of global citizens, that when you have this multiple experiences, you just feel like, as you described.
Yeah, I think a lot more people are traveling. I think a lot more people are finding their partners in other countries, and then a lot more people are moving to different countries. So I do think it'll be more kind of fluid in that way, more so than like I'm from here and you're from there.
Well, what I want to know, and I know you have the audience, and I'm sure audience is very curious. I want to know more about you. So I would start from today and where we are. So who are you today? Who are you today? How would you describe yourself?
Ooh, multifaceted for sure. I'm 40, I'm a mom, but I don't feel like a mom all the time. I am now, as of recently, I'm a businesswoman, because I have my own business now with what I do. And I don't know, I'm more independent now than I've been in a very long time. I feel, it's so funny. I feel like after moving countries and having a child and kind of having to rediscover, I'm finally starting to answer that question for myself, because I haven't really known that question either for a long time. I'm feeling like I'm more independent and stronger in myself than I have been in a long time. But yeah, business owner, mom. Well, I mean, as many women, we're multiple things.
And so with the independence, as you said, for the first time probably ever, you feel that you got the grasp. Does that independence comes from partially from your career path that you're on at the moment?
Yes, it comes from the fact that I realize that I'm not somebody who likes to, or I wanted to work for myself. I don't want it to be me constantly growing somebody else, even though I know people need a team, people need help. I've had help, but I wanted to see if I could build myself and my business. And I've been freelance now for a little over the year with making content, and seeing that I'm actually able to, my bills are paid. I'm not living, I'm not buying big expensive bags or anything, but my bills are paid. I can go to a restaurant. I can, live and have a nice time and have a nice life. And it's not because of somebody else, it's because of what I'm doing. And that has been very freeing.
So on this, and right now, for those who don't know you yet, or the people outside of your audience, you very, I would say the main topic is the makeup, the beauty.
Yes.
And then you got a bit of fashion.
Yes.
on your main social media channel is Instagram.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's mainly where I am right now. And yes, the focus is skincare, I say would be like the main focus, and then makeup has come into play because once I learned skincare, my skin got better, then makeup started becoming fun and I started playing around with it. And then I've always just had an interest for fashion as well. So once I kind of established the skincare and stuff, I started playing a little around and realizing that I don't have to stick to one thing. I can bring in some fashion. I wear clothes. I like clothes. And, I've learned that through this too, that if it's something that I like, then there's a possibility somebody else likes it also and would think it was fun.
What do you think is being in it now for also both professionally but also making a living out of it as an influencer? What do you prefer, content creator, influencer?
I think I prefer content creator just because of the way that I make my content, but also because I do create content for other businesses also, not just for myself. So I do work UGC where other businesses like my style or the way that I film. So I think and also because I like to be a place where somebody can come to see what my opinion was of something. I don't want to try to influence, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't think influencer is a bad word either.
What is, from the prism of somebody looking into this world, or there maybe somebody who's not closely following, but is average consumer who is average woman, average in the sense of she's busy with her work, busy with kids, content creation is not her path, and she's not in fashion or beauty industry, but she makes enough money to want to have beautiful skin, want to look better, want to wear fantastic things or new things that perhaps she doesn't have enough time to explore. For that woman to just shed a light on the in the content creation influencer world, because sometimes I feel people see it's there's so many of these influencers again, and this is having allergy. What is the good thing for that person in watching you or colleagues?
It's a great question because there is a saturation of content right now. There are so many content creators, which I'm biased because I work in it. I'm doing it. But the good thing is that, first of all, there is something for everybody. The information that's available now is amazing, which can be double-sided because there's a lot of information that might also be the best. As far as for me and my own page, is that I like to not have the glossiest, most perfected kind of aesthetic. I am in my bathroom, which isn't the nicest bathroom in the whole wide world. My 3-year-old will jump in sometimes. It's not always completely perfect. And I like the fact that now because there's become so many, and there's so many that are doing it, it's become more open to where you don't have to be the most perfect person with the perfect marble bathroom and look like you have this perfect life. You can actually show a realistic version of what's happening, and which is what I like to do. I like to be aesthetic, but I also like to show a realistic part. Like that's, it's I don't have a studio, I don't have, all those things, and it's just, this is what it really looks like when I'm in my bathroom and I'm doing my routine or doing my makeup in my bedroom, which is super messy, and sometimes you'll see that.
What is your mission with your channel, Instagram account, as an outlook for yourself right now? How do you see it?
It's something I've thought about a lot, because it's kind of like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting this on film and putting it out there? I think for me it was because I first of all wanted to see something that was more realistic, because watching everybody with their, super polished aesthetics, it sometimes makes you feel like you can't ever attain that. So I wanted to create a channel where it is attainable, it is more realistic, it is fact and actual information, but also lighthearted. And also I wanted to be, I'm 40, so I also wanted to be somebody in that space that is above a certain age. And there are young women that are doing this, that are working so hard, and it's so wonderful to see. But most women my age, from my generation, also aren't doing this. So if everybody's 20 who's creating the content, then what do we have to look at other than ads? So I just wanted to be somebody for maybe an everyday mom who's busy, and yeah, you're cooking dinner, you're planning the meals, you're packing the bags, you're doing all this stuff, to see somebody who's also kind of going through either the same struggles, or, is just maybe a little bit more laid back, a little bit more relaxed. Maybe it's like watching a friend when you're watching the routines or hearing the reviews, that kind of a thing.
With your path of being where you are, with what you're doing now as a content creator, and someone, maybe a younger version of you, looking into this, like, okay, well, I can do that. As you said, there are many content creators that are 20-year-old. What skills did you gain through this process of your life journey that you feel are really helping you now?
Well, first of all, I came up in restaurants and then production, like TV, movie, commercial production. And though it's very fast paced, but it's very regimented. You do things a certain way because that's how they need to get done to get to the end process. And you have to be on time. Also, actually, if you were on time, you were late. But I learned how to be a professional person before I got into this. And if you don't have that, because it's so easy to just think, I'm just going to make content, the day will go by. It's a job. You have to be regimented. You have to stay on track. You have to be focused. You have to not let outside world, get a hold of you, because that's very easy. But it's just, it's a professional job, and you have to treat it as such. And having a career before I got into this has helped me a lot with that. Being, dependable, being professional, being on time. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And now it's just me. So it's not like I have a boss who's waiting for me. I have to do these things to myself and tell myself, if I've said I'm going to film today, I have to film today. Or else it just, you can very easily just lose track of things. And then if you're not creating, then you have no business.
How, on the point of business, because business is effectively generating money or generating profit, how, as a content creator, when you're starting, and of course part of the creation, the process, but then how do you monetize? What was your understanding, or what was your journey so far, and how do you think if somebody is like, okay, I'm gonna, there is a girl and she's like, yeah, I'm maybe she already posted so much, but she doesn't know how to make that step from going of just creating content, but into having some deals or collaborations, paid collaborations. Where would you recommend to start?
Well, first of all, you need to not be afraid to reach out, because yes, you might be creating, you might be doing it, but the thing is that, at least for myself, it was that I knew nobody was out there going, I wonder where Alex is. Like, I have to go knock on doors and I have to say, hi, I'm here. And that can either be me reaching out to brands, that can be me creating reels where I'm tagging them, obviously. And then also I had to have patience. I wasn't sure where this journey was going to take me. And when I started the account, I thought it would be a fun thing to do. Eventually, I started getting traction and brands I saw them wanting to, gift me things, or they wanted to use my content. So I was like, well, if you want to use it, then you can pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the transaction here. So then I started understanding they wanted to. And then first of all, I started saying no to brands wanting to use like when they said, hey, I love your reel, can I put it on my feed? Mm-hmm. I said, you can, but then you have to pay. And if they said no, then you can't have it. And it was so hard because that can be exposure, right? Mm-hmm. And then eventually they would come back around and go, no, we would like to pay. Okay, great. But it takes time. It takes time to build up that kind of a relationship with brands also. But it's just, you have to be a little fearless. Trust that what you're making is good. Because if you think it's good and you like it, somebody else will like it too. You have to stay focused, you have to stay dedicated, and just keep going with your craft. If it's something you believe in, and if it's something that you really truly love, somebody else will like it too, and there is value in that, and then opportunities will arise.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with your audience that you have at the moment, so we are right now in Oslo. Mm-hmm. Is your audience only local? Who is your audience at the moment?
It started in the States because that's where I started the account. Mm-hmm. So I still have a large American following, but then now it's actually growing to where the majority is Norway, which I think is quite fun. And I do all my content, or most of it, in English, unless a brand specifically requests to be in Norwegian. I'll do that. But I do everything in English, and it's so cool to see that it's mostly Norway now. But then I also have UK and Sweden, and there's Finland, Nordic. So there's in other countries too, but yeah, now over the last year, it's been the majority is Norway.
How do, with Norway being the main ground of operation, how do you find cultural differences, especially with US?
Yeah.
And how you operate here, especially someone watching outside of Norway?
Yeah.
And interested, what is this market?
It is interesting. And, I feel like in the UK, even Sweden, and in the States, this is more of seen as a legit business, I think, or it was and has been for a longer time than it has here. Norway, I think, they're starting to now really see how it works with influencers and content creators, and how, what's the word I'm looking for, but like how valuable that reach is, rather than maybe a paid ad or that you have on a billboard or something. So you have the contracts are a little bit more encompassing. They've learned a lot more in the other countries. In Norway, it's still a little fast and loose. It's still a little, a lot of people just be like, hey, we want to do a contract. So like the email is kind of, what's supposed to be enough, rather than getting everything like written down. I think Norwegians are starting to learn what things like in perpetuity mean. And Norwegian content creators are starting to learn what that can mean and how much they should get paid for that, instead of just something that's for 6 months. All the little nuances and all the niches here, Norway's still learning. And also, we don't have as many influencers and content creators here as UK and America does, for example. And we don't have that many that are of that size. We have some, and they're fantastic and they're great. And they have representation, and they have people working for them and has their backs. But all the other content creators in Norway who work really, really hard, it's just them. And it can be a student, or it can be a mom, or it can be, somebody who works in makeup but just loves it. So they have to advocate for themselves, and they need more information so that we can do the business better.
With the business part of things, the public relations agencies, have you worked with them? What is your experience from the point of view if, again, somebody wants to get into space and become the content creator? Would you recommend to work with the PR agencies? What is their role in Norway?
They have actually been huge for me when it comes to me connecting with brands. When I first moved here, I was very lucky. I had a family friend who is the head of a brand. She invited me to an event. I met another girl there. She invited me to a thing. And I was the oldest and had the least amount of followers. So I felt super out of place. But two girls who are much bigger influencers than me took them by the hand and said, come with us, we'll take you around. And I started asking them questions, and they said, contact the PR agencies. That's what you need to do. They said, send them DMs, ask to come by, introduce yourself. They'll give you a bunch of stuff. So then you have a stash so that you can start creating more content, tag the brands. And then eventually they start inviting you to events with these brands. And that's how I then get to shake hands and I get to meet them. A lot of the times by then I've already posted and the brands will be like, oh, I saw your video. We love that. And I'm like, yes, that was me. And you act professionally. So absolutely. I mean, contact the PR agencies. You send them a DM, you say who you are, ask to come by. And they love to see the interest. They want to see you be interested. They want to see you want to, use their brands. And again, deals won't come automatically straight from that first meeting. But that's the start. And it's a great start because it's such a good way to then, be seen.
With your journey, where you are now, with the traction, with all the understanding, previous experience, understanding of everything you did so far, with your vision of yourself in 5 years' time, where are you?
Oh my goodness, where am I? Well, I've been saying now that, I love this journey that I'm on, but I hope this isn't where it stays. I want this business to grow into something and evolve into something. But one thing I've learned is that I don't, I have wishes and want for myself in the sense of what my life looks like, but how to get there right now, I honestly have no idea because I didn't even think I would get to where I am now. So now I'm very much enjoying where I am and just imagining what this could be. If it's me maybe working more closely with publications, if it's me with my own, I don't want my own skincare brand because, oh my God, that's so hard. I have so much respect for those who do it because that's so hard, but my own something of some kind. I would love to be looked at and thought of as somebody that is respected and trusted. But in what capacity, I honestly don't even know. It's very exciting to have moved to Norway and started this journey and grown in the, little time that I have, and have people that want to work with me in different levels is just super, super exciting. So I wish I could say I have this grand vision, but I don't have a ceiling to reach. I just want to see where it goes at this point. But I have no idea. I said I was never going to get married. I said I was never going to have kids, and I was never going to move back to Norway. And I am married in Norway with a child. So I don't I'm very careful with what I say now these days.
What makes you happiest right now through your every day?
Honestly,
what brings you joy?
That every day is different. I have the things that I'm grateful, I'm happy to see my child healthy and happy. I'm happy that my husband is loving it here and doesn't want to leave because I want to leave. My husband's not Norwegian, so that's why I'm happy he likes it here, with my family. But just I wake up every day and I'm just very happy that I have managed to reach a point and I've created that environment that I was hoping for but didn't know I would ever get. This every day is different. I get to work with different brands. I get to go to events. I get to create space for myself and have my own time if I need it. I get to kind of do whatever I want to do and make my own choices and not have to rely on somebody else or. So that to me gives me so much joy that I get to wake up every day and today I get to go do a podcast. In a week I get to go to a gala. It's just, and then I get to be creative my way. Nobody's telling me how to be creative. It's my own creativity. So that in a sense gives me joy because it's just, I think 5 years ago, I didn't see being here. So
do you have a vision of where at least the business model of content creation, maybe not your own, as we discussed 5 years, things can flow in different ways. But with the industry and the business and kind of your current structure as a content creator, do you feel the business will change much or do you think it's just going to evolve deeper with the similar practices and more professional?
I think it's going to change immensely. We've already seen it change quite a lot since, Instagram started and stuff. It's evolved into, this insane machine of just social media, of like TikTok, and like Snapchat came back now and everybody's on Snapchat. And then, so I definitely think it's going to change. I think we're already starting to see a change in a way. Exactly how, I'm honestly like, I don't really know. I wish I could give more specifics. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how we go from like TikTok right now, which a lot of storytelling, it's a lot of, more just entertainment, which Instagram is more the aesthetic, like more beautiful, like it's supposed to look, have a certain look, and your feed's supposed to be all monochromatic and things like that. So I don't know, but I do think that TikTok is going to be, which I need to get more on TikTok, is going to be probably more where things go, but I really like it on Instagram. That's like my comfort zone. I have fun there.
What about YouTube?
I've thought about YouTube in the long form content and things like that. I've really thought about it, and I thought it could be fun to, do something of that medium. I think YouTube is going to come back actually more of like how we kind of saw it before, where people went there for like their beauty reviews and things like that. I think long form is going to have a resurgence. I think so. So I've thought about it. It's up in the...
It'd be nice to see you there.
I go there all the time. I get a lot of my content and a lot of my inspiration from there, and a lot of reviews. I watch reviews. Oh my God. I love watching reviews. It's like one of my favorite things.
There were a lot of happy moments and great positive things we discussed about the content creation and that niche and the freedom it gives you and all the wonderful things. What was the lowest point for you on that journey?
I think that it's moments. It's not like one signifying like thing. It's moments, and it's it's just you. You're doing your thing. It's like, so then there's nobody. I'm lucky. I have people in my life who cheer me on and tell me I'm doing a good job and things like that. But like, it can weigh on your self-worth and your self-esteem on days, and you just have to remind yourself who you are. It's a true test of like your kind of yourself, of how you feel about yourself. Because there are days where you feel like the imposter syndrome sneaks in. You feel like you're not doing a good enough job. Everybody else is getting work except for you. Everybody's getting invited except for you. And you really have to work hard at reminding yourself that is none of your business. That has nothing to do with you. It's not a reflection on you. That is just how it was that week. And then the next week, all of a sudden, you'll see you see followers drop off or whatever, and you're just like, oh my God, my career's ruined. So that's the thing that I find the hardest, and that I have moments like that. And having moments like that is, you're just like, whoa, what was that? Like it's not a nice feeling, and you don't expect it so much, So it's a constant thing you have to work on, and just again, staying focused on what you're doing, because that's all you can control. You cannot control all that other stuff.
I think it's a great advice. And do you have role models?
Yeah, tons. My mom, for one, she's the reason I'm interested in all this. When we were younger, she would give us beauty baths she was like the beauty spa owner, and then me and my sister were like her little customers. It was Mabel and Pearl, which was the first name of the account, was Mabel and Pearl Perfumerie, because of Game de Perfumerie. That's where I got my first makeup. And then we've always been a lot of women in my family. So my mom is a huge inspiration to me, always has been. My aunt, my mom's sister, my sister, my God, my sister and I are very similar, but we're very different in a lot of ways. She has a 4-step routine and won't do anything more, which I can be in there for 3 hours in the bathroom. So, but she's just very my sister, she's a journalist, and she's very, she won't waver. She's very uncompromising. So she's, for example, a person when I take jobs, I'll be like, would my sister be okay? Would she think this was okay? Or would this be like a sellout kind of a thing? And if I think my sister would think it was cool, I'm like okay with it. And then I also have like I grew up listening to like Cher and Dolly Parton and all these like really strong women, and watching movies with like Betty Davis, and just watching these like badass women. So no, there's been a lot of good, strong female empowerment in my family. And then yeah, and then my husband's kind of a role model to me too. I love him. He's the best. He's again just very pragmatic, very much the ethics. Everything needs to be correct. Everything needs to be nice. You need to be respectful, and he just cheers on everybody around him. He is the most selfless human being. He puts everybody before him, which sometimes like I need a little reminder sometimes of like, hey, there's other people that, you need to think about. Can't just do your own thing all the time. And he's just a constant reminder of to be a good person.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And from the light of female empowerment and the beauty world, and right now it's very time of messaging, like you go girl.
Yes.
And the ground of Norway, how do you feel Norway is really up front and up front in comparison to other countries with the movement, or do you think the whole movement is maybe a bit too much of a bigger words, or maybe we're doing something negative?
I think, well, first of all, if you meet a Norwegian woman, you will find Norwegian women are some of the most like strong women I've ever met. They're very just like, they face it head on. They say what they mean. There's no muss, no fuss. They're very like just say it as it is kind of women. I mean, they're out in the cold and they are pulling their babies on their skis, and they are also like running companies and stuff. In a lot of ways, I think Norway is very much ahead of a lot of countries. On the other hand, I do think that there's a lot of times where Norwegian women need to be very strong, because it's a culture of like, oh, don't be so sensitive, and oh, that was just a joke, and oh, don't worry. Like, all you need to do is go out in the cold and go for a run and you'll be fine. There wasn't maybe so much room for feelings and actually being vulnerable and that kind of strength. But I feel like I'm seeing that a lot more now, and that, women are taking care of themselves more, I think, and putting themselves first a little bit more than before. But I think Norwegian women they're amazing. They really, really are. And it takes maybe a little time to like crack the exterior shell of them, but once you're like in and they embrace you, you're cared for the rest of your life.
That's very interesting, I think, to understand, especially for outsiders. When I met many people who just start their life in Norway, they feel very isolated by the locals, by society. It's like, oh, it's so difficult to make friends with Norwegians. There is such a barrier, and I think what you just said is kind of explains part of it. Yeah,
it is a hard country to just like jump into in that sense, but it's also with the way that a lot of Norwegian, I'm speaking in broad terms, but like a way that a lot of Norwegians are brought up is the sense of like, me giving you space is me kind of respecting your boundaries and your area, me allowing you to just be. And, I think that sometimes that can be taken as standoffish. And I don't think that's always the intention. But it's just, if once they warm up and once you like get in there, then, they're super fun and welcoming and they're super chatty. You'll sit in there, you can go to dinners and sit there for like, hours on end and drinking wine and talking, and they invite you to their cabins and all this stuff. But it's a tough nut to crack sometimes.
How long did it take you?
I moved here when I was 5 and I was more chatty then than I am now. So my best friend in the world, we've known each other since I was 6. I went up to her and I said, hi, we're best friends now. And she, poor thing, was so shy. She just
went for that.
Just said, okay. So I didn't really have much issue.
I think for many of us, it's there is so much to learn from this approach, especially in Norway.
Just go tell them you're my friend and they'll be too scared to say no.
And on that note, and just to lead it to the end of our conversation, you have a son.
I do.
with the future ahead for your son, understanding that perhaps it's a women's world now, what would you advise, or what would you like to see? What would you advise him as he kind of gets from his, toddler age into schooling and all of that?
It's so funny. I was just talking to a friend about this, that I grew up in a family of all women. There were like barely any boys. So having a boy was kind of a shock. And I was like, oh, how do I make him not just a good man, but a good person, and, empathetic and nice to people, all people, and especially women, and respecting. And I just want him to be nice and to just, be inclusive. That's like my hope for him. My hope for him is that he's a nice person, and that he's inclusive, and that he includes people in his class and in his groups, and, doesn't try to be one thing or the other. He can be whatever he wants to be. Just be respectful and inclusive and a nice person. And, and I hope for him that he sees people for, that he sees the unique and special things in people, because that way he will also explore and see so much more, and he will like discover this world on a different level. So that's my hope for him.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. And if there is anything we didn't talk about, but you feel you want to kind of dive into.
I think that not really. We covered a lot of stuff. This was super, super fun, by the way. So thank you for asking me, and thank you for finding me interesting enough to have on the podcast.
I think it's very difficult not to. I think you have this magnetic energy and excite, and the way you communicate. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
It's always nice to be appreciated by others. And again, you have your own business. You know that sometimes it can be, it's just you trekking along, trying to tell yourself, just keep going, keep going. So when others kind of see you and give you a little bit of validation, it just kind of spurs you on and gives more energy to keep creating and keep going. But no, I think we covered so much stuff. I hope that people take from this that, there's room for everybody in this space too, that we hopefully will stop to not compare yourself so much to other people, because it's so easy to do in this space. And that if you want to create something, just do it. Just start it. If you're not creating anything, there's nothing for people to see. There's nothing for people to grasp or understand. So just if you want to do it, just do it, and then see what happens.
Nikes were right. Nikes were right.
Nike was right. Just do it.
Do it.
Exactly.
And share the energy. I think that
yes.
And you said about being seen. And I think that part, this is the part that is not usually seen or understood by the people outside, but looking into social media. But, that excitement or that real interaction that we get through the events. And that the moment that, of course, as a content creator or brand owner, you have to document, but there is the real life part of it. That is when you exchange and when you are seen and when you...
And tell people you like their content. Cheer them on. The more we cheer each other on, the more we are creating a good energy to where more people want to create and more people want to make this space a good space, because it can be a really, really nice community. And I've been very fortunate that I have experienced the beauty of the community, and that I have groups of girls where we're all cheering each other on, and we want each other to get opportunities. I want more people to get opportunities, because the more opportunities somebody else get, it's just going to open doors for maybe me or you or somebody else, instead of us all trying to compete. And that just doesn't help anything. So I definitely, less comparison and let's cheer each other on.
Let's shed some light on what you have today. Cheer some brands on. Yeah. What do you got? Beautiful earrings. You got beautiful clothing. Very classy, old money look.
Thank you.
Everyone wants that these days.
Well, the shirt's one of my favorites. It's actually, I believe she was a guest on your pod from Reposto. Yes. So this is one of their shirts. They were so sweet, and they gifted me one of their shirts, and I love it. I wear it all the time. I'm wearing some Norwegian design, actually, from Christian Ox, whom I've just started working with, and I love this brand. They're so beautiful. And then the makeup isn't that much, but it's Faro Humidi, who makes the most gorgeous compacts and beautiful. It feels luxury, and it just It's great stuff. And then some like Merit, and it wasn't that big of a look because again, my skin's doing quite well these days, so I'm loving my skin.
And the jewelry?
This is just Oslo, I think. It's like it's a jewelry brand, just Oslo. I think they're at like Be Young and stuff. They have like really affordable but like really cute rings. And this is ANC Arts and Crafts, and this is Josefine, two Norwegian girls who, I mean, just create the most beautiful jewelry. So it's like a mix of Norwegian design and some luxury.
With the shirt, I'm gonna just double check. So it's ages.
No, this is from
Apostle.
When the Apostle had their own, they were making their own clothes for a little while when they first launched. Yes.
So this little insight for many.
Yes. So this is when they first launched with their whole concept. They had a little line of like skirts and dresses and pants and shirts. So this is one of their shirts.
Amazing.
And I think it's just absolutely, again, I literally use it all the time. I think it's like, yeah, it's got like marks of makeup on the back here.
But it works.
Yes. No, it's beautiful. It's comfortable and it works. And it's just, and it's, you know, jeans or a suit, whatever you want.
Thank you. That was really great.
Thank you for having me. This was like the most fun I've had in a long time.
Yeah.